What's up, guys? Well, we managed to bring the HTML tags and the general title of the widget on the page. Now all that's missing is what goes inside the widget, namely the person's name, the content of the testimonial, the person's image, the occupation, and the company's name with a link. For this, we'll need a loop. We can of course use the WP query class to do this. We start by separating the HTML from the rest of the code. To do so, I will create a separate file in the views folder. The name will be mv-testimonials _ widget.php. And here inside the widget method, I will do a require and give it the file path. I use require in this case because I want the user to be able to add more than one widget on the same page or in the same widget area. If you use require once, it won't work for obvious reasons. Back to the new file. Let's start by opening and closing the PHP tags here. The loop data goes in here. For now, I will not touch this code snippet, okay? I will just create the HTML structure of the loop and then I will come back to it. Let's start by creating a div with the testimonial item class. I'm just making up all of these names, okay? Inside here, there will be another div with the title class. Inside it, an NET tree. I'm gonna add a temporary text here, testimonial title. After this div, there will be another div with the content class. Here I will simply be putting some text so that I know what I will need. I'll put the following: image and testimonial content. After this div, another div with the meta class. Here goes the data from our meta box. In a moment, you'll figure out how to get this data. Well, you have already seen this in the other section, but let's review it in a moment. Well, that's good for now. Later, we'll be adding a few more things here. Let's start with the loop settings. I'm going to create a variable here called testimonials. And it will receive a new instance of the WP query class. This time I'm not going to pass the arguments outside of it. I'm going to pass them directly into the class constructor. First, I create an array. And here inside will go the arguments. Well, what will I need? First of all, I have to define to which post type the posts that will be included in here belong. In our case, they are only posts of the testimonials post type, okay? How many posts will be featured? So here I used posts per page. Well, here I'll not use a fixed number. This number has to vary according to the number of testimonials the user chooses in any instance of the widget. We can get this with that variable called number, okay? It's a piece of cake. And finally, I don't want all kinds of posts. I want only the ones with the published status. So here I use publish. Excellent. Now we can start the loop. If testimonials have posts, while testimonials have posts, testimonials, the post. And I need to close the while loop down here. And I close the if block down here too. And of course, after the loop ends, I'll call wp reset post data. Well, now let's call the values. For the title, I call the function the title. For the image, I'll create a div called thumb. And in here, I'll call the image like this. Well, you already know these functions here from the previous project. The only difference I made here was to pass the image size parameter like this. So if I want to resize the image on the fly, I can set the dimensions inside an array like this. Here I'm saying that my image is going to be square and it's going to be 70 by 70 pixels. Now this image can't be displayed all the time. It will be displayed based on whether the user checked the checkbox to display the image or not. Do you remember this detail? To achieve this, I will simply wrap this whole div here in a conditional, like this. The value of the checkbox, which is stored in this variable, will return 1 or empty, true or false. And this value defines whether the image will appear or not, right? Now for the content, we'll just call the function the content. Finally, we'll call the fields of our meta box from the post type. Before we do that, we'll have to create the variables to store the value of the fields for each testimonial. You can do this up here before the HTML. For example, we will create a variable here called URL meta. It will receive the result of the getPostMeta function. And the parameters are as follows. First, the post ID, get the ID. Then the key of the field. For the URL, the field is called MV testimonials user URL. You can check this name in the name attribute of the MetaBox form, right? Then true to get the value as a single string, not as an array. Now we can do the same thing for the other fields. I will create here occupation meta. I copy this thing here. And the name of the field is MV testimonials occupation. And finally, company meta. The name of the field is MV testimonials company. Now to call the values, I'll go over here in the meta div. I'll say it like this. And I'm going to pass a span here with the value of the field. Now I copy this into the company name field. But here I have a link as well, which comes from this variable URL meta. Let me go ahead and save this. Oops, I think there's something wrong here. That's it. The only thing missing here is the greater than sign. Sorry, my bad. Now let's see what we have. Well, we have some information showing up. Let's do the following. Let's check all the options there in the widget. And let's choose, I don't know, only 3 testimonials. So right now we have the 5 posts that display by default here. And now there's more like it. I have the widget title, 3 testimonials, the image of the person, and down here the occupation and the name of the company with a link. Let's uncheck the image checkbox to see if it's really working. Great, that's great. Now the image no longer appears. Let's go back to the way it was before. Very good. Now all that we need to do is to style it a little bit more. But I will leave that for the next class, okay? See you then.